Hey you, I'm Andy Powell. Welcome to the Allcast Podcast. No topic is off the table. I hope you enjoy. So Josephine, welcome.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. The main reason I wanted to talk to you today was because of mostly the drug issues in our country and the open border, and you've been directly affected by policy or lack of enforcement of policy at the southern border. So we'll get into that in a little bit, but first I want to kind of figure out, who you are, where you came from, where you've been. So your name is Josephine Dunn.
It is the one and only.
Well, I mean...
Actually, there's an actress named Josephine Dunn. That's why I say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's dead now, but,
right on.
Truly there is.
Okay.
Let's see.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a little town in Bergen County, New Jersey, called Richfield, New Jersey. Ridge, not Rich. Ridge.
Ridgefield, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many people lived there?
Oh, God. I think at the time, maybe 3,500.
Oh, that is pretty small.
Very small. It's like the subdivision of Granville.
How long did you live there?
Most of my childhood. I moved to Arizona in 1987, and I will tell you how old I am. I was almost 16 when I got here. So
okay.
You can do the math, and you'll know how old I am.
I don't know if I can do the math.
Okay, good. Don't.
I'd have to sit down with a calculator.
Oh, I'm not going to give you a calculator.
All right, we'll hold off. So when you got to Arizona, what were you doing? Did you go to high school?
Yep.
Okay.
We moved to Arizona because my maternal grandfather was very, very ill. And I come from a culture where we take care of our family until they pass away. My family members do not put our adult, aging, or ill parents in assisted living or nursing homes. At least that's their mentality.
So you came to Arizona, went to high school. What did you do after high school?
I went to college.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to NAU first. Then I went back to Phoenix. I went to Glendale Community, went to NAU, Glendale Community, then lived back in Phoenix, then went to Yavapai, got my nursing degree at Yavapai, because that's what I finally decided to do when I grew up. I did a bunch of stuff, medical stuff, sold insurance. I managed restaurants. I did all kinds of stuff in my youth. But I finally settled on being a nurse. I took care of my dad. That's why I'm in Prescott, because my dad, again, it's a cultural thing. My dad was terminally ill. I moved to Prescott to take care of him. He passed away, and I stayed.
Awesome. And how long were you a nurse?
I'm still a nurse. Once a nurse, always a nurse. Just like a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
All right. So
Same
how long
thing.
did you...
I'm not licensed anymore. I let my license lapse because I'm anti-vax.
Okay, cool.
And I'm very proud to say that.
Yeah.
I will never get an injection.
Yeah, especially an experimental one that's a gene therapy.
Yeah, that's not even a vaccine.
Yeah, it's not. They had to change the definition in order to try and make it work.
Correct.
But anyway.
But the new one's coming. Be prepared.
Yeah, well.
In like 60 days, the new one's going to be out to protect you.
No, I'm sure.
I'm sure you can get free movies and free dinner and maybe some ice cream.
Well, the corporation I work for, maybe they'll offer me like a coffee mug or some donuts if I get my vaccine. Yeah. I have to report my vaccine status, though, in order to get the rewards, maybe a little bag, something like that.
Thanks.
It's ridiculous. I can't believe that they're doing that.
I don't need your damn bag. Thanks.
No. So you were, what did you do as a nurse mostly? Did you work in one area or all areas?
I did all kinds of things, but my favorite thing was the last thing that I did is I worked for a doctor here in town as a concierge nurse, where I really got to know my patients. And to this day, I stopped nursing in 2018. And it's 2023, so that's 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. To this day, I'm still very, very close to a lot of my patients that I cared for. They've become like my family.
Awesome.
So it was one of my favorite jobs in the end, because nursing has become like drive-through. So you get to spend 5 minutes with someone and you never see them again.
Yeah, it's very stale. Very disconnected in a lot of cases.
Yes.
I know some nurses, and I know that there are people who are nurses out there that really try to make an impact, even though the structure doesn't allow them that as much anymore.
No.
They definitely try to connect
And you
with their
have to, like,
patients.
I talked to another nurse girlfriend of mine very recently, and she's like, I have to get permission to give someone a hug. What? I hug random people in Walmart. I mean, that's who I am.
Permission from the patient?
From the patient.
Oh,
yeah,
that makes sense.
I mean, they're crying. You're crying. I'm going to hug you.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say, hey, Andy, you're crying right now. Can I give you a hug? I mean, what the hell?
Yeah.
I'm just going to hug you.
Yeah.
It's just, that's not who I am.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's weird the way things change.
Yeah, the world is a crazy place. I think we should spend a lot more time loving each other instead of fighting each other.
Yeah. After you realized the vaccine mandates and the COVID stuff was going on, what did you...
I had already left nursing before COVID.
Okay.
The vaccine stuff, in 2018, COVID was not there yet. In 2018, I was told that I needed all these vaccines to go back on like a hospital floor, whether it be at the VA or, just a regular hospital here in town or Dignity Health. It doesn't really matter. All hospitals, any type of floor nursing, you need to be up to date on your vaccinations. I absolutely refuse to do that. And so...
So you just didn't get your license renewed?
My license was up for renewal in 2019. And I just decided that medicine was just not for me. I just decided, I'm going to do something else with my life. I've dedicated enough of my life helping people. And it kind of sucks because I'm a giver and I want to help. But I can help in other ways. I decided to get a certification. It's called Faith Community Nursing, where I don't actually do medical stuff, but I can go visit people and pray for them and bring them communion, which to me is more rewarding than taking their temperature.
Yeah.
So, and I don't need a license to do that.
Cool.
Yeah, it's called Faith Community Nursing. I took a designation in Phoenix, and I have that, and so I do that. So I'm still a nurse, but for God instead of the medical community.
Right on.
And I do it for volunteer work. So
okay. So after leaving medicine, what did you do?
Oh, I sell real estate now in town.
Oh.
Yes, I sell houses. I list them for people to help them move on, whether it's an estate or they're downsizing or they're upsizing or they're relocating. Or they're losing their houses. Unfortunately, in this market, there are people that are losing their homes because they bought too high and they can't afford their payment.
Yeah.
They've lost their jobs. Or I help buyers find a home, retirement homes, new home buyers finding a home, people buying vacation homes or second homes or investment properties, sell land, multifamily stuff. I sell real estate now, and I absolutely love it because nobody dies and nobody needs a vaccine. It's great. And people are happy.
Yeah.
Most of the time, people are actually really happy.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. And I work my own hours, and I work when I want. It's good.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, at what point did you have children?
I actually have my own daughter, my womb nugget, who lives in Mississippi. And then I married a man. I didn't have any more children. Because I'm physically unable because of some health stuff. But I married a man with 4 amazing children, my bonus kids, that I raised. So I guess I've had kids since I was about 22.
Okay.
So I've been a mom since I was 22, if that's your question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a grandma. So I'm a mom and a grandma. 5 kids, 4 grandkids, and 1 on the way.
How's that going?
Being a grandma or being a mom?
Being a grandma.
Being a grandma is actually the absolute best. Sorry, kids, but being a grandma is way better than being a mom. Because I don't have to discipline them, and I can eat ice cream at 8:30 in the morning with my grandkids. And no guilt.
Oh, no.
Love it.
Oh, man.
I had my grandson. We have our one grandson, Ashley's son, Carson. We fought for something called, in Arizona, there's something called grandparents' rights. where grandparents can actually fight for visitation. And we did that. We went to court, spent thousands of dollars to get visitation with Ashley's son. And we have tremendous visitation with him. We have Carson every other weekend. His mother had passed away, so the only maternal influence he has is myself and his grandfather. And we've been in his life his whole life. So we get him every other weekend by court order.
Yeah.
His father continues to live a lifestyle we don't agree with. So he was keeping that child from us after we had physical custody of him for a year. Anyway, we had him, last weekend? Yep, last weekend. Or the weekend before last, pardon me. And we picked him up at 9 a.m. and at 10 a.m. we were having ice cream.
That's awesome.
Great. Good times.
Right on.
Yeah, and marshmallows. That child absolutely loves marshmallows, those big giant ones.
Yeah.
Like that you use for s'mores. But he doesn't want the s'more. He just wants the marshmallow. So 10 a.m. that's what we were doing, him and Grandma. It was good times.
Well, don't play Chubby Bunny with those.
What's Chubby Bunny?
Chubby Bunny? You don't know what Chubby Bunny is? Oh, okay. So Chubby Bunny is this really short-sighted game where you have a group of people and you put a marshmallow in your mouth and then you have to enunciate Chubby Bunny.
With the marshmallow in your mouth?
With the marshmallow. And then once you do that, you do another marshmallow. And you see how full you can stuff your mouth with marshmallows and still say Chubby Bunny. Now, people have choked and died from this, so probably not good to do with grandkids, but you might.
I am thinking, I'm doing that. I get him this Saturday. We're doing Chubby Bunny.
You might do that. Well, if it's the giant jumbo marshmallows.
It's the jumbo ones. It's those ones that you use for s'mores, like huge one.
I don't know if he could fit a jumbo marshmallow in his mouth.
I don't know.
But
he feeds them to the dog.
Oh, geez.
When I'm not looking, like, we'll be sitting there, and my table's very high. It's one of those bar height tables, kind of like.
Yeah.
It's very high, and so he's up there. Thinking he's king of the hill. And I have this Great Dane who's about as high as that table. And so King comes and King's as high as that table, so all he has to do is...
So he just reaches across and hands him the marshmallow.
King gets a marshmallow because King was Ashley's dog.
Yeah.
And Carson's dog.
Okay.
Ashley had gotten King for Carson's 3rd birthday.
Mm-hmm.
He was a puppy when Carson was 3.
Okay.
And he's 7 now.
So Kane is 4.
King is 4. Mm-hmm.
So tell me what happened with Ashley and what led up to what happened with Ashley.
Well, Ashley is my special child. Ashley started experimenting with marijuana at about 15. Ashley had some severe mental illness that was untreated. She believed that marijuana would help her mental illness, and it did not. It exacerbated it. So not only did she use marijuana, but she drank, and she liked Xanax, right? Valium. In January, so it would be January 1st of 2021, New Year's Day, we get a phone call from DCFS. So here in Arizona, that's Department of Child and Family Services. They and the United States Marshals and the Yavapai County Sheriff's Department, and I guess it's Camp Verde Police, I don't know, they had taken Carson and removed him from her because of her lifestyle and behaviors, right, and what she was doing. DCFS felt that Carson was in danger because of the way she was living her life. So that was January 1st. So we get a phone call that Carson was removed, and there was all this chaos with the marshals and people jumping out of windows to escape the police. And DCFS had a warrant to to find Carson since March of 2020.
Oh, wow, that's a long time.
Yeah. And she had been absconding from DCFS for that long because she knew she was going to lose Carson to them based on some domestic violence stuff between herself and her husband, my son-in-law, who she had separated from, consequently. That happened all in Chino, and then she ran off to Camp Birdie. And so they had been looking for Carson all of this time. They found him and her and went and got him on New Year's Day. We were notified that he needed placement. So Mitch and I drove to Camp Birdie to pick up Carson and bring him to live with us. So at this time, Carson's 4. He is not potty trained. And he is a child of severe trauma, repeated trauma.
And for people who don't know, if you're a child, you generally get potty trained right around the time you're 3.
Mm-hmm. And he's over 4. He's about to be 5 in May. It is now January, so 4.5. Mm-hmm. He will not take a bath. He will not eat. He doesn't use his words. Tantrums, screaming. I mean, this child had been through a tremendous amount of things that he should not have been exposed to, whether it was on my daughter's side or my son-in-law's side. Rest her soul. You know, we only do better when we know better. And again, I'm not trying to justify her behavior, but she had mental illness that was untreated. She loved her son, but things that are a priority to most parents were not a priority to her.
What was the nature of her mental illness?
She had diagnoses, several of them,
mm-hmm.
and I just would rather not disclose them.
Okay.
Carson comes to live with us. We finally get things ironed out. At that time, my youngest daughter, Tessa, was 17, 18, living at home. My oldest daughter, the womb nugget, was living at home, 27 years old. And then my oldest grandson, her son, was living at home. And he was probably 8, 9 years old. And then my husband and I. So here we bring this child of trauma into a very peaceful household. And, you know, I don't know if I can curse, but, you know.
You can say whatever you need.
He's 4 and saying, fuck you. No.
Yeah.
He's 4 and saying, you know, kiss my ass. He's 4 and twerking naked in the living room. I mean, there's some things that were just completely inappropriate that we needed to redirect and fix. And it was very, very difficult. It was difficult on my marriage. It was difficult on the other children, the 2 girls. It was difficult on my grandson. It was just challenging, to say the least. Come spring break, we enrolled him in, you know, preschool. Never been in a preschool, not potty trained, absolutely impossible. But Mitch and I both have to work. Luckily, we both work for ourselves, and we both work from home. So one of us always had him, but we wanted him to get exposed to other children and in school environments. So we enrolled him in an educational program, which was extremely difficult because every day there was a problem. There's a lot of anger outbursts and violent tendencies and fighting. And anyway, it was spring break time, and Mitch and I had bought an RV. How cool is that, right? I mean, it is the coolest RV. I absolutely love it. It's a Lazy Days Class C RV, and we had bought it from an old man. Which is, you always want to buy stuff from old people. I mean,
yeah.
If that's one little morsel of wisdom I got to share with the world is buy your things used from old people.
Yeah, they tend to take care of their stuff.
Yes. So we buy this really awesome RV. And we're going to take these boys fishing. And they are so excited they're going on their first camping trip in an RV and going fishing with the dogs. How exciting is that? So we're leaving. We're going to Alamo Lake. That morning I had posted a picture on Facebook. And I'm very vocal about drug dealers and how I believe they need to be in jail and how they just are killing our youth. I've been that way for years and years and years. And we left to go on vacation. We drove down to Alamo Lake from Prescott, which is several hours away. And we get there, and we're setting up our new RV, which we know nothing about, learning how to open the awning I'm making lunch for the boys, myself, my husband, and the 2 boys, and setting up the dogs on leads so they can run around the lake. Alma Lake is absolutely beautiful, by the way. And we have no phone service there on purpose. Mitch picked that lake because he didn't want me to work and he didn't want us to be bothered. He wanted us to just relax because, again, we've had this childhood trauma and there's just been all this stress and strain on our family and we needed to just relax. Well, I hear this odd ring on my phone and then this couple seconds later an odd ring on Mitch's phone, and it was Facebook Messenger calling. Did you know you could get phone calls on Facebook Messenger?
I did know that.
I did not know that. And we learned that our house was on fire through Facebook Messenger from our neighbor across the street, who's a very dear friend. His Ring camera was going off because our smoke alarms were going off in our house. And our house is on fire.
And you're hours away.
Hours. And our 2 daughters are home. The mother of Keegan, which her name is Aurelia, my womb nugget, a ray of sun.
Quick question. Do you want these names to be...
Yeah, I don't care. They don't
Okay.
care. There've been there's a documentary about all of this on 2 websites. One of them is salemnow.com, and then there's another one.
Cool.
And the third one, a kid just got an Emmy for.
Oh, wow.
Almost got an Emmy for. So Facebook Messenger is ringing on my phone and my husband's phone, and I have no idea what that ringing is. I answer my phone, and it's my neighbor, and my neighbor's like, "Hey, Josie," I'll call him. He's like, "Can I talk to Mitch?" I'm like, "We are at the lake, trying to have some quiet time," and I had no idea that my phone's ringing. We're supposed to be, disconnected and unplugged. He's like, "No, I really need to talk to Mitch." And I'm like, "Okay." So I give Mitch the phone, and I hear Mitch scream. And Mitch, if I know you know him, Andy, Mitch does not yell.
Yeah, he's a very calm guy.
Yes. Mitch, we're complete opposites. I mean, I yell if it's sunny outside. Mitch is very calm and low key. And he started throwing stuff into those trunk bins of the RV. I mean, I just hear stuff flying. I'm like, what is going on? And he's telling the kids, pack things up, put stuff in the RV. He's yelling. And I go out with the fried chicken going, what's happening? And he's like, our house is on fire. And the most I'd never seen Mitch so scared in my life. And, Mitch is very calm, like I said. And it's not the house that we were worried about. We have Tessa, our 18-year-old daughter, was home sick with, they call COVID, the pandemic, but she just had a cold. But she was home very sick and couldn't go to work. At that time, she was a manager of the movie theater here in town, the picture show. And she was homesick in her bed, sleeping. She wasn't going to work when we left that morning. So if our house is on fire, it takes 120 seconds for a person to die from smoke inhalation.
Is that all?
That's all. And so here's this 130-pound girl, sick, sleeping. Her breathing is already compromised because she's got what's called COVID, but really she's got a very bad cold. So our fear is that Tessa's going to die in that fire if she hasn't already. So Mitch and I are throwing everything in the car. The kids are screaming. Carson's crying because he's never got to fish. And, oh, my God, how can we leave? We need to fish. And he just doesn't get it.
Because, it's his first time out, too.
And it's his first time, and he doesn't understand. And we're just trying to get out of there, get the animals and the children, and get out, right? Yeah. And get on the road for however many hours it is. I don't even know.
I think it's 3 hours.
It's far.
Yeah.
And so we get on the road, and Mitch is driving that beast, that huge, Class C RV through these windy roads, 90 miles an hour with 2 children. I'm not kidding. 2 children and 3 very large dogs in the RV. I have had a Rottweiler. Her name was Bonnie. She was 13 years old. She did not go with us because she was old, and Mitch wanted her vacation to be peaceful with the 2 girls. So the 2 grandsons weren't going to be there, and the 3 young dogs weren't going to be there. So Bonnie had the whole house to herself, and she had the girls to love up on her, and she was just going to stay home and relax. rather than be thrown around the RV and the boys' stuff. Mitch and I had a fight that morning about leaving her behind, because I never leave Bonnie behind, but we did. And I ended up capitulating because, believe it or not, I am a submissive wife. I am obedient. I know, it's hard to believe, right? Truly. But I'm a Christian, and my husband's the boss. Most people don't know that about me, but it's true. He is the boss. And so I leave. I'm not happy about it, but I did. And we left the dog there. We're driving home. Mitch is driving 90 miles an hour. I've got a screaming 4-year-old that will not calm down. And I've got, I'm trying to tell Mitch to calm down. Mitch is telling me to call Tessa. I'm calling. I have 3 phones. So I have Mitch's telephone, my telephone, and my work telephone. So 3 Verizon cell phones. It's the best network in Arizona. There's a little kick for you. Maybe you'll get some, what's that called? When they pay you?
Sponsorship?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Verizon.
I don't know if I want sponsorship from them.
Well, either way, I had 3 phones that have Verizon service, and I cannot get signal.
Yeah. Had anybody, your neighbor called on Facebook Messenger?
Because we have no signal.
Right.
At Amelie.
But had anybody called 911 to say, hey, there's a house?
Oh, yeah, 911's coming.
Okay.
He called 911 and then called us. Okay. 911's on their way. And I called 911 from the RV and said, my daughter's in that house. And my dog is in that house. I don't care. Get my daughter and my dog out of that house. And dispatch put us through to I guess it's the fire, I don't know, what do you call him? The chief, the main guy, the fire guy.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what he said. Truly, it's a blur. But those 3 phones are in my lap, and now Mitch kept saying, call Tessa, so I'm calling Tessa's phone. No answer. Disconnect. Calling Tessa's phone. It rings and rings and rings, goes to voicemail. Rings and rings, goes to voicemail. And I'm going to tell you something that's probably going to sound crazy to the rest of the world, but I don't really care. We're sitting in the RV, and these Class C RVs look like a van in the front. And then there's like a cabin behind you. And to separate the van from the house part, the cabin part is like a curtain, right? My 2 grandsons are on the driver's side, seatbelted in over there. My husband's driving, and I'm in the passenger seat with these 3 phones. And there's a curtain, right, that would be normally open, right, behind me, or closed behind me, right behind my head, coming this way. And so I'm just sitting there, and Mitch is, did you get through? And you could tell it wasn't working, and I'm hysterical. And all of a sudden, I feel the curtain move, and you can hear it. Like when you move a curtain on those metal rings, you can hear that going on the track, right? I feel and hear that, and I hear a woman's voice saying, call Tessa's work. Calm, just like that. Not loud, not aggressive, just call Tessa's work. Tessa's at work. I'm like, did you say something? What did you say, Mitch? Mitch is like, did you call her? Call her again. And the kid, Carson's still screaming. And then again, it wasn't even 30 seconds, and I hear that same woman's voice again. Loud and firm and angry. Call Tessa's work. Tessa is at work. And I'm like, what the? So I call. And the movie theater has 2 phone numbers, one for the movie line and one for the administration line. And all these details really aren't necessary. But I finally get through to the administration line. And the little girl that answers the phone, I tell her, this is Tessa's mom, and I need to speak to Tessa. She's like, oh, no, Tessa's not here today. Tessa's out sick. I'm like, oh, no, this is Tessa's mom. She's there in that theater. Go find her, right? And the girl probably thought I was crazy. I'm like, we're having a family emergency. I know she's there. Go find her. 8 minutes later, Tessa picked up the phone.
8 minutes? That was probably a long 8 minutes.
That I was on hold.
And meanwhile, you guys are still...
We're still driving 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
With 2 kids and 3 huge dogs in the car. in the trailer, in the RV. It was the longest 8 minutes of my life. Because we thought that Tessa died in that fire.
Yeah.
Because by now, we're getting pictures, right, through Facebook Messenger from the Ring camera of the house just engulfed.
Mm-hmm.
So now Mitch can slow down, right? Because we hear Tessa's voice. We can just be calm. It's just a house. But now it's my dog.
Yeah.
And my dog's really smart. My dog can open any kind of door. He can open a round hand. She could open a round handle. She can open an Arcadia. She can open a deadbolt. She can open those lever handles. I'm thinking, she got out. I'm praying the whole way home. She got out. I wanted to believe that, and she didn't. So, out of that fire, the only thing I wish that didn't happen was that my dog didn't die in it, but the fire was not an accident. The fire was actually arson. There were 3 hot spots where they
It was
found
actually
accelerant use.
It was arson.
Arson. Yeah. And those people have yet to be found, but they will be because God is good. And then less than 90 days later, I tell you all this because it's leading up to, it's leading up to Ashley. Less than 90 days later. So that was March 16th, 2021.
Did you know who the people were that did that?
I did not. Not at that time, no.
And
we did not know anything until months later.
And the Ring camera did?
The Ring camera didn't show it. We have a fenced yard.
Yeah.
The entire property, the front and the back.
Uh-huh.
So you can't see
Okay.
in the yard. You can see like the top part of the house, but you can't really see.
You couldn't see any cars drive up or anything
No,
like that?
what had happened, from what we're assuming and what we're guessing is there's an empty lot to the right of us that belongs to the neighbor. So there's a neighbor, a lot, and us.
Mm-hmm.
We believe someone parked up there, walked through that empty wooded lot, jumped the fence. And because there's photographs that the arsonists, took 3 photographs of the fire from the back side of the house.
Why?
Because they were proud of what they did.
Wow.
They were happy with the success of burning our house down.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And they're, anyway, we did not know that until much later. But so that was in March, March 16th.
21.
We lost our home. We lost our dog. We had, the clothes on our backs, the Maserati that's sitting outside.
What year is that thing?
An 86.
1986 Maserati.
An 80. Yeah. 86, yeah. 1986 bi-turbo something. I don't know. Mitch knows.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's an old school 5-speed. It's pretty cool. Classic.
Is it fast?
Very fast.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I fishtail in second gear.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's really awesome. It's awesome. And it sounds really cool.
Cool.
And it runs fantastic because, I'm married to the best mechanic in Prescott. Anyway, thank God we had another home to go to, and then we, the children. But the sad thing about losing that house is I lost everything I owned. My husband lost everything he owned. My daughter lost everything she owned. My other daughter lost everything she owned. And 2 of my grandsons lost everything they owned.
Oh, were you a realtor during this time?
At that time, yes.
You were? Okay. So
yeah.
That's how you had a second property.
No, I had that second property before I became a realtor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we bought that house in 2017.
And you were building on another one?
No, we bought that house the house in Williamson Valley in 2017 because we were going to retire. When all the kids got out, that little house was just going to be for Mitch and I. Mm-hmm. We were restoring that log cabin.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, restoring it.
Yeah. Every weekend we would escape the kids and go away to our little... Because what you don't know is Mitch and I used to go to those little cabins in Mayer for romantic weekend getaways.
Cool.
And instead, we just bought one.
There you
so
go.
we have our own little cabin. Except
Problem
it doesn't
solved.
have a heart-shaped tub yet.
Do the ones in Mayer have a heart-shaped
Yes,
tub? Really?
they're so cute. Yes, and they have a little kitchenette, and they have a screened-in porch, and there's a creek. It's just really romantic. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, I love that place, and Mitch does too. So, we bought our own cabin, so we didn't have to go to Mayer. But in doing so, we have all these, Mitch and I are really sentimental. So anyways, in doing so, we had to restore it. But when we moved into the cabin that night of the fire, we had nothing but the clothes on our backs. Anyway, less than, I would say, 2 months later, on May 23rd, we get a phone call at 1 a.m. from Yavapai Regional Hospital that we needed to come to the hospital. First, they wanted to verify that, we were Ashley's parents. And it was the ER doctor. They told us to get to the hospital right now, and they didn't tell us anything else.
Wasn't there something that happened where when you went to stay at the other house, people brought stuff and you didn't know how?
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's blessings of God. Yeah, well, I'll tell you that. That's a beautiful story.
I love that part.
This is a beautiful story, yeah. So that evening...
After the fire.
Or the fire's still going. So the fire, that was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it is now 10 o'clock at night. Okay? The fire is still burning on that hill.
Because of the accelerant?
Because of the accelerant. They cannot get it out. It wasn't put out until like 8 a.m. the following morning. The fire trucks had to stay on that hill all night.
Wow.
Almost that. How many hours is that? I don't know. It's in my journal somewhere. A lot of hours. But so at 10 o'clock at night, we had sent the two girls. So the two girls were at the house when we got back from Alamo Lake while it's burning.
Yeah.
We had the children, the grandchildren. When we get there, they have the entire mountain blocked off. You can't go up there. The fire trucks did. And I guess it's the chief. Whoever the guy is with the truck, the fire guy.
Yeah.
He has like a Bronco or a Suburban.
Yeah.
He told us where to park the RV, and then he drove us up one at a time. And he drove me first. And when I got there, my girls, now 3 of them, Ashley's not there. Okay, everybody knows the house is on fire. And Tessa's there, Aurelia's there, and then we have another daughter, and I'm not going to mention her name because she probably wouldn't want me to use it, but if you know my family, you know who she is. Those 3 girls are there in the street. And everybody's crying and hysterical, and I'm going to go on that property to get my dog. And of course, that didn't happen. That didn't go over very well. And then they bring Mitch, and then the firemen want to bulldoze the house because that whole mountain's going to go up in flames, and I can't give them permission to do that. I'm not doing that. All I care about is my dog. And I'm hysterical. And Mitch just told them to bulldoze it. And so we stayed there till about 9 o'clock at night. And we're pulling the cars out that survived because we lost 4 vehicles. And because Mitch is a mechanic, we have a million vehicles all the time. But we got the Maserati out of there. At that time, I had a Lexus RX 300. We got that out of there. Had a Honda Ridgeline. Got that out of there, but it was burned. I had a Mini Cooper that was totaled, burned. Anyways, so we get out of there. We get to the house about 10 o'clock. Mitch, at that time, my husband was not a Christian, by the way. I prayed to the Lord for over 10 years for Mitch to get saved. He didn't get it. And anyway, we pull into the driveway of this house, and there are trucks and trailers, 2 of them.
This is the other house. So
the house in Williamson Valley, the house we live in now, the cabin.
He tells them to bulldoze the house, and then you guys leave.
I leave. No, I already left. He stayed behind.
Okay.
I couldn't take it anymore. I had to get out of there.
So then later,
because I was going to go get drunk.
So later that night, you guys both go to the other house, the cabin that you're restoring.
Yes, the girls left ahead of us, Aurelia and Tessa. They couldn't take it, so they had to leave. They went and got food and just went over there. That house had no flooring, no heating, no cooling, no bathroom. It had new windows, and it had and a leaky roof. That's what it had. But it was a roof, and it was 4 walls. So the 2 girls went and got food and took the boys, the grandsons, with them. They went over there. And I left. I took the Maserati and left. And then my nephew, I couldn't drive. It's a stick, and I couldn't drive. I was shaking. So my nephew comes walking up and acted like a hitchhiker. asked if I could give him a ride. Thanks, Mike Felty. Anyways, he ended up driving the Maserati, which nobody drives a Maserati, but he did. He drove it to the cabin, and I was a passenger just crying. And I got there, and I see these trucks and these trailers in the yard, and I'm like, what in the heck is going on? And there's people. It was like an army of people that I don't know, and they're carrying furniture and boxes. I'm like, I didn't know what was going on. And then Mitch was about 10 minutes behind me, and I was just sitting in the car crying. And then I go up the stairs, and I walk into my house, and it's like not my house. There's furniture, there's beds. They're putting together beds and putting sheets on beds and hanging curtains and filling the refrigerator full of food and the pantry. I mean, we were blessed beyond belief that by the time these people left in the middle of the night, I don't even know what time it was, 6 people, so myself, my husband, the 2 children, and the 2 grandchildren, we each had beds with sheets, blankets, pillows. We each had pajamas, toothbrushes, clean clothes, new shoes, pots and pans, food, dog food. They even brought a toilet brush. And that's all thanks to Haley Construction here in Prescott, Arizona. I don't know these people, but my son-in-law works for them. And they got the word out. I don't know who they called, but an army of people, an army of angels. I don't even know who they are, but they furnished my whole house, stocked my refrigerator, clothed us all. Brand new clothes, socks, everything. So the next day, I didn't sleep that night, but the following day, it was almost like normal. Except we didn't have flooring. We didn't have heat. But it was just an incredible blessing that my community did that. And then I'm a realtor, so Prescott Area Association of Realtors put out this huge bulletin. And they raised money for my family. Somebody started GoFundMe. GoFundMe raised a bunch of money for my family. It's just a really beautiful thing. So that was March 16th. And then, Mitch's heart was just devastated and broken. For a month, I didn't eat. Every day I cried over the dog. And my husband, he's so wonderful. He went back to that site where they bulldozed the house. And it was just a pile of rubble, probably about 8 feet tall. Every day he would go. I cried every single day. Mitch can't stand it when I cry because I cry ugly. Very ugly cry. And every day he would get up and he would go to the side of the fire and he would shovel and sort to try to find. All I wanted was Bonnie's tags. My dog's name was Bonnie, her tag with her name and her vaccine thing. Every day he would go and work all day long for 30 days. He went. On the 31st day, he told me, you're going to take a shower, you're going to get clothes on, you're going to comb your hair, and you're going with me. Because I wouldn't go there. And I went. And he used the backhoe and he was moving stuff. And we had one of those big, giant dumpsters like they have at construction sites. And he's moving stuff. And it starts on fire again. 31 days later. Red coals. It starts on fire again, the accelerant.
Holy crap.
31 days later. No joke. We had to call the fire department again. They came with those heat guns, and they found those sites of accelerant, and they sprayed, and then they went with the heat gun, and they made him move. So they told him to move this pile over here and move this so they could get under there where the coals were.
And spray him down.
Mm-hmm. And when they did so, Mitch is on the backhoe, and he's hogging his, I don't know what that means, but that's what he calls it, with the bucket, picking up stuff. It's like a grabby bucket. It grabs.
Yeah.
He grabs it and he moves it over here and puts it down. And I'm just standing over here, just crying. I cried for hours. I just stand there, just crying, looking at our life in ash. And the fourth time he did it, he picked Bonnie up whole. All you could see is her head in the bucket. And I thought I was crazy. I was screaming. He was on the backhoe and she was right there. He gently moved the bucket and set it down, and there she was, perfect, not a scratch on her. But she was dead. But she wasn't burned.
No burn.
No burns, no. She died of smoke inhalation, and there was maggots in her mouth. But if you touched her, 31 days, she was pliable. Her fur was still soft. She was not bloated. She did not smell. It was craziness. And so the firemen, I'm screaming, and Mitch jumps off the backhoe, and the firemen, they thought I had gotten hurt or something. And they didn't even believe the way she looked. They wrapped her up in an American Red Cross blanket, put her in the back of my truck. And we left. We left the firemen there, and we left because I was just beside myself, sick. And brought her home, and I washed her, and we buried her in my yard where we live now. And where there's an orchard now where she's buried.
Mm.
Yeah, it's craziness. And so there's a second miracle. Okay, so Mitch is like, "There's no God, we're from aliens."
Yeah.
I begged for a month for her tags, and the Lord gave me that dog to say goodbye to.
The first miracle is the people showing up at your house and
the blessings,
furnishing the whole thing.
Yeah, restorative, like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Beds, blankets. I mean, how does that happen? I don't know those people. Mitch doesn't know those people. My girls don't know those people.
Second miracle, Bonnie's delivered to you whole.
Whole.
Untainted.
Where I can actually hug and hold her, clean her, and give her a proper burial.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so then Mitch decided to get saved and baptized because he believes there's a God.
Say that again?
So then, after that, Mitch decided to get saved because he now believed that there was a God. Because his wife was losing it. I cried every single day, and I wouldn't eat, and I wouldn't leave the house over the dog in the house. And then there's the dog, and I was like, whoop, I'm back to normal now. I'm good. We buried the dog. I'm good to go. I'm ready to take on the world now. Get out of my way.
So that
just snapped me out of it.
Closure.
Yeah, because I was able to, I know that my dog's not out in the street somewhere. I know that she didn't get burned to death, because I don't know if you've ever seen burns. They're horrible.
Yeah.
There's a TikTok challenge right now. There's a 12-year-old that's in Tucson. It's unbelievable what that child is going through. He'll be lucky if he survives.
What's the challenge?
It's rubbing alcohol and something, I don't know, a 12-year-old. He may die.
Oh, because of a challenge he attempted to do?
Attempted to do on TikTok.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anyways, so my husband got saved. And then life went on, right? We're going to start our life at the cabin. Okay, still we don't have flooring. We're going to buy some flooring. We're going to put down flooring. I'm going to start taking showers and cooking for my family. And this is how we got involved in Starting Point, which is where we met. Starting Point, a realtor friend of mine used to go to Starting Point, doesn't go there now, but she knew about the fire through Prescott Area Association of Realtors. And there was a meal train. And I don't know if you know what that is, but when there's a tragedy. Okay, so...
Yeah, people sign up to bring you dinner or lunch or whatever on a given day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it's no big secret that I'm one of those people, when I'm under a lot of stress, I don't eat. There are people that under a lot of stress, they do.
That means you're probably not cooking for anyone either, too.
I'm not feeding anybody, and I'm not eating, and I don't care about food.
Yeah.
Which means I don't even go in the kitchen. I don't care about the dishes. I don't care about anything when I'm not right. So this meal train was a godsend, right? And so you could sign up online. I think it was on Facebook or whatever. I don't know how they did it because I've never done it. So this realtor friend came with another person from Starting Point and brought us food, my family food. And the deal was, during that horrible 30-day period, the deal was that I had to sit at the table. Even if I don't eat, I got to sit. And we all have to do a check-in, right? tell me about your day, what happened. That particular night, I knew nothing about Starting Point Church. My girlfriend came with another member of Starting Point and brought us a meal and a card and a very large financial check. Very large check. And I open it in front of my husband, and my husband's like, these people don't even know us. I'm like, no. There's another gift from God that we will be restored, right? The Lord will restore all. The Bible tells us that, no debt goes unpaid. The Lord restores you tenfold. You just have to have faith. It doesn't, maybe not in our timing. I mean, look at the story of Job. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then I don't even know where I was going when I told you that.
So that sounds like the fourth miracle. The
Fourth miracle was the third miracle. Well, there was the house,
the
furnishings, the dog,
Mitch.
the check. Oh, Mitch being saved. No, yeah, Mitch being saved. This check.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were invited. No, Mitch hadn't been saved yet. There was the check. And the check was like the third one, the final straw. And we had been invited to a different church. And we went to that church, and it's a mega church here. There's a couple of them. And I like the mega church, but I'm pretty popular, and I don't say that to be arrogant, but it's a small town, and I know a lot of people, and I don't go to church to be popular, even though there's just a lot of people that I know at that church, so I can't really focus and concentrate on why I'm there.
Yeah, it's kind of unavoidable.
It's more of a social event rather than an actual experience of being there to worship or being there to celebrate the Lord and being fed. So I can't go to that church. But we did go to that church and 2 Sundays in a row, and the second Sunday, Mitch got baptized.
Awesome.
Or Saturday. It was a Saturday. He got baptized. And then the following Sunday is Easter Sunday. Mm-hmm. And it was the first Sunday that this sanctuary Starting Point was open. And we went, and we've been going there since.
Right on.
Because it's smaller.
Yeah.
And it felt better. It felt like
a little more intimate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
And now I don't even know where we were going, but...
So, less than, 3 months later, you get a call from the hospital?
Less. Yeah, it was March 16th was the fire. May 23rd is when we got that phone call in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. And we...
phone call from the hospital?
Phone call from the doctor at the hospital.
Okay.
And so when a doctor calls from the hospital, because I'm a nurse, that means something very, very bad has happened. It's not like the administrator or a nurse or a nursing assistant. It's the actual physician. So, with a pit in my stomach, we went from Williamson Valley to YRMC, went into the emergency room, and were met by a young boy that was dating Ashley, and he gave us Ashley's phone. And he told us that there's stuff on that phone that we're going to need. So we don't even pay attention at this point. We're just trying to get in. And it's COVID time.
Oh, geez.
It's COVID time.
Yeah.
So, but they're letting us in, which was kind of, again, odd, right? And then we saw her, and the moment I saw her, I knew that she wasn't waking up from that. And then they told us what had happened. Ashley had used half of a tablet of what she thought was Percocet. Some people snort. Some people swallow pills. Normal people, not addicts or drug users. Even just substance use disorder. Okay, we don't even have to say addict because it's negative. People that use drugs, whether it's casually, have a substance use disorder, or use it for because of prescription reasons, right? Medical need. If it's a pill, you swallow it, right?
Yeah.
Some people chop it up and snort it. Mm-hmm. Some people smash it up and smoke it on foil. Well, Ashley had taken half of a tablet that she thought was a Percocet, smashed it, I guess, and smoked it, or smoked it whole. I don't know how you do it, but somehow there was half a tablet, there was tinfoil, and she smoked it. The other half and the other 3 tablets that she purchased from this same drug dealer that lives in Glendale were found on scene. Anyways, the ER doctor came in and told us that Ashley was without oxygen for over 30 minutes. They used 6 doses of Narcan to revive her, and they used an AED, which is a device that recharges your heart. You know, you see it on TV, zzz, on your chest. They used that on her twice. And they brought her back to life. They got a pulse on scene and brought her to the hospital. But there's no coming back from 33 minutes without oxygen, no matter how much you pray. Or at least not for us. So, they took her to the ICU, and Mitch and I stayed with her for 86 hours before we had to discontinue her life support on May 26th, 2021. So, it was less than 90 days. It was probably 67. 71 days after the fire. And then in that phone is where those pictures are.
Pictures of the arson?
Of the fire.
Yeah.
In that same phone is communication between herself and the drug dealer, who is in custody, by the way.
Currently?
Oh, yes. Pant had a search warrant for that cell phone. And Pant is Prescott Area Narcotics Task Force.
Mm-hmm.
And they came to the hospital intensive care unit with a search warrant for that phone. And Mitch and I surrendered it because we have to. And in that phone was the communication between Ashley and her drug dealer, who's a career criminal. 14 felony counts of drug trafficking in the state of Arizona that she's been convicted of.
Wow, and she was out moving around.
Oh yeah, she's in her 40s. This is her career.
14 felony counts of drug trafficking.
Mm-hmm. Drug sales, yeah.
Okay.
14 counts of sales, felonies, yeah. Career criminal.
Mm-hmm.
This is her job. She doesn't go to work every day.
Yeah.
She sells drugs.
Yeah.
And murders people's children. That's what she does. And she's almost my age. Yep. A few years younger than me. Anyway, so they do what they do. And she was in custody before Mitch and I discontinued Ashley's life support. That woman was in custody. And but then she bonded out because our system, allows murderers to get out.
Yeah.
She bonded out and she absconded for 13 months on her bond. But then she was arrested again on June 16th of 2022. And she's in custody now. And as far as I'm concerned, I hope she never sees the light of day. But she's only going to be charged with sales again. So she'll be out in no time to kill somebody else.
She's not charged with manslaughter?
No. And the reason she's not charged with manslaughter is because our state doesn't have any laws to charge people with drug-induced homicide, which segues into what my purpose is in life now.
Do tell.
I have determined.
You just gave me goosebumps. We got. Please continue.
So here's what happens when you are hit with repeated pain and trauma. You either lay down and die, or drink yourself to death, or just quit on everyone and everything, or you find a way to scratch and claw your way out. And what Mitch and I have decided to do is just fight till the day we die to put drug dealers in jail that kill our kids.
Mm-hmm.
in Ashley's honor. And we have some amazing legislators here in Arizona. Shout out to Quang Nguyen.
Say it again.
Quang Nguyen.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Republican legislator, LD1. That's our area right here in Prescott. Then there's Steve Montenegro. He's not in our district, but he is a champion for fentanyl legislation. Eli Crane is also a rock star.
Mm-hmm.
He's at the national level. Paul Gosar is at the national level. There are just so many people that are trying to save lives that are just here in Arizona because we're a border state and we are the fentanyl superhighway of the United States.
Is that right?
Oh, absolutely.
I know
yeah.
there's a lot going on in Texas. I didn't know that we were in the lead.
We are in the lead. Last year, 2022, the DEA seized 55 million fentanyl tablets. I'm not going to even mention powder. We're just going to talk about tablets.
So what Ashley thought was a Percocet was indeed not a Percocet.
That's correct. What Ashley thought she bought 4 tablets for $40 in a town called Black Canyon City when she lived in Prescott. And this woman lived in Glendale, so they met each other halfway. 4 tablets for $40. Ashley used half of 1 tablet, so her life boils down to $5. Ashley lost her life for $5. That's what her life is worth to this woman. So, Mitch and I discontinued Ashley's life support at 3:33 p.m. That's the time on her death certificate. We went home, and again, I didn't sleep all night. I don't sleep much, if you haven't gathered that, but I didn't sleep all night. At 6 a.m., exactly 6 o'clock in the morning, I called my legislator. 6 a.m., I had his personal cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And he was driving to the Capitol. He lives here in Prescott, and he drives back and forth every day. Poor guy makes $24,000 a year. Quang. He makes $24,000 a year. Drives back and forth to do that crap job. Thankless job. He gets mistreated. Anyway, I call him at 6 a.m. and he answered.
Awesome.
And he listened to me cry for 2 hours. I think he probably understood every third word because I was crying so hard. And Quang has a daughter that's Ashley's age. So he gets it. And Ashley didn't want to die. Right? I mean, anyway, Quang promised me that he would make change. He would help. He would do something. Because drug-induced homicide is a real thing. Drug dealers have absolutely no penalties for killing our kids.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's zero accountability,
Zero.
you're gonna keep doing it.
In Arizona, yeah. There's 24 states in our nation that have drug-induced homicide legislation. You will be prosecuted for murdering a child or a person or an adult or an infant if you are the person that gave that other person fentanyl. You're going to be prosecuted for homicide.
Mm-hmm.
Manslaughter, you asked me about the Ashley's drug dealer, trafficker, murderer. Let's just call her that. Serial killer, that's what we can call her. She's not being charged with manslaughter because Ashley had marijuana in her system and alcohol in her system. And most people with substance use disorder, it's more than one substance.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just marijuana. It's not just alcohol. It's not just pills. It's multiple.
Yeah.
And so Ashley was a routine marijuana user. It's legal. Ashley was a routine alcohol user, right? Drinker.
Also legal.
Also legal. Both of those in her system were not over the limit or over craziness.
Yeah.
But the fentanyl in her system, 5 milligrams. She had enough fentanyl in her body to kill 2.5 people. From half of one pill.
Yeah.
That's a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah. She thought it was Percocet.
That she thought was Percocet, yes. And anyways, so Kwong got together with a bunch of very, very smart people, and they drafted legislation, and they named it after my daughter. It's called the Ashley Dunn Act.
The Ashley Dunn Act.
Yes. And it's been through the Judiciary Committee twice and failed. And it's been through the Health and Human Services Committee. Thank you, Steve Montenegro, once. And it just can't get out of the House. Just can't. And that's a whole nother can of worms.
So this is a federal level piece of legislation?
No, state level. Arizona.
Okay, so
Arizona legislation.
So Arizona state Congress people are not passing this?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't get it. We just can't get it out. But that was so far 3 times. So 2 years in a row, twice last year.
Mm-hmm.
I testified in front of Congress twice. Myself and my husband were down there at the state capitol. Twice last year and once the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't happened yet. So
not yet.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be back down there again next year.
Good.
Yeah. And Kwong has promised that as long as he's in that Capitol building, this law is going to be dropped every year.
Yeah.
And I've promised, as long as that law gets dropped, I'm going to request to speak. No one is going to forget who my daughter is. Currently, those legislators that voted against her have to pass 3 billboards to see her face on it on their way to the Capitol on Interstate 10.
That's awesome.
On the way. Right on 7th Avenue, Interstate 10. You got to get off right there, right? Got to get off because the Capitol's where? They got to pass it. They have to see her face.
Wow.
Yeah, you want to see the billboard?
Yeah,
It's really
I'd love
cool.
to.
Look
I'd
at
love
this.
to.
So those same legislators that don't want to pass the law, they get to see her face. And maybe, how do you sleep at night knowing that you don't want to pass legislation?
Yeah. Well, you did talk to a congressman.
Oh, Eli Crane, yes.
For our district.
Here in Chino.
Yeah.
I went to Chino. Hunted him down in Chino.
Yeah, so you talked to him and he heard your story.
He did, and he went back. I asked him to. He went back to Washington and went after Mayorkas.
Yeah, he confronted Mayorkas directly regarding your story because
Correct.
Mayorkas is in charge of all of the border security, and he says that it is secure.
Mayorkas is a liar.
He is a liar. It is obviously not the truth, not the case.
Correct. Does Mayorkas know that out of the 55 million tablets seized by the department, the DEA...
Only in Arizona.
In Arizona. No, that's nationally.
Oh, that's
Arizona,
national. Okay.
out of that 55 million, Arizona had 28 million of those. So 55 minus 28. We had 28 million seized right here in Arizona. But nationally, the total of 55. So more than half of all fentanyl seized in the United States is seized right here in Arizona.
Mm.
But our border's secure.
No, it's not.
According to Mayorkas.
Well, yeah, he's a liar
He's a liar.
paid by...
Mayorkas does not want to meet me. He does not.
Why would he?
But he doesn't want to face me.
Has he had the opportunity?
No, but I was supposed to go right now this month, actually. There's a fentanyl walk at the Capitol in Washington. And I wanted to go. But unfortunately, I'm just not in a position to do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And mentally, I don't think I'm able to stand with all of those moms. I can handle small groups of suffering moms, but when it's thousands of mothers
whose children have died
have died, and they're carrying photographs
because of fentanyl.
Because of fentanyl, and because of our government or lack of government.
Dereliction of duty.
Dereliction of duty is correct, and that's kind of you to say. Because I would much rather use much harsher language.
Yeah, it's a very relaxed term. It's a very generous term for what they're doing.
On Interstate 10 and 7th Avenue right now. There's 3 of them. And then there's some at Tempe Diablo Stadium and outside ASU. That's a digital billboard with her face on it.
That's an amazing billboard. That's wonderful.
Yep.
Wow.
And parents like myself have to pay for that PSA. Why is that? Why does my checkbook have to pay to save children? What is my government doing? What? Nothing. My checkbook. If my dollars with her face, Ashley's face, can save one child,
Well,
then I'm doing it. I'm doing more than Mayorkas. Why don't I get his paycheck?
yeah.
Why can't I have his job?
Yeah.
I'll go secure the border.
Yeah. I have no doubt that you would too. I have no doubt.
So we need the drug thing is
Well,
not.
other than legislation, we need strong accountability for these people who are in positions of power that are not doing what they're supposed to be
Correct.
doing, and they're being
Correct.
paid not to.
Correct. Not only that, they're being paid to turn the other cheek. And
Exactly.
how about our governor? We just had a drug summit. Did you know that?
No, tell me.
Oh, we had an Arizona drug summit last
Our
week.
falsely elected governor,
Installed governor.
installed governor.
Yeah. Governor Hobbs. Last week.
That's not. I don't think that's her title. It's Katie Hobbs, and
Okay.
she's not the governor.
Miss Hobbs. Ms.
No, it's Mrs.
Oh, is it Mrs.?
She's married to a man who's a psychiatrist who has a specialty in children gender transitions, believe it or not.
Really? Wow. That's a mental illness, by the way. And that's directly from Satan. But
Gender dysmorphic dysphoria.
it's from
Or
Satan.
just gender
It's from Satan.
Gender-
All of it is from Satan.
gender dysmorphic disorder.
It's from Satan. And just, the Lord, please help those children
Yeah.
and convict those parents. But Katie Hobbs was at the Arizona Drug Summit that was just held last week, right here in Arizona, in Tempe. And she was introduced. It took more time to introduce her and for her to be welcomed and applauded. She gets up at the podium. She reads her script. Not even 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Looking down, read her script. Scripted. No emotion, no feeling, no
Yeah.
conviction, no sincerity. Walked out. Walked down. She was applauded and walked out.
Yeah, just another puppet.
She didn't stay to make change and listen to what's happening, to the drugs and what's happening in her state.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's to be expected from people that are placed in positions like that. They're just puppets for a greater machine that we don't necessarily see all the pieces of.
Well, I think once our state gets taken over by the cartels and we just become, North Mexico.
Well, I don't know that that's going to happen. It's
We're on our way.
well,
We have guns. That's the only thing that's going to save us. Our government is not going to save us.
right, and that's the problem, is that the government is made up of people that are supposedly elected. So ultimately, the phrase that comes to mind is "we the people." So we the people are the government, and we need to take accountability of these people that are not doing their job. So we can do that through bureaucracy, which is obviously very slow and very ineffective. We can do it through voting, which is obviously ineffective. And we can do it when it comes to our doorstep, which will be very, very effective.
Very, very effective.
Yeah. So if that's actually been a bigger fear of mine, a bigger concern of mine, is the cartel moving north and trying to take things over, and that I'll speak very clearly and say that is only going to go so far.
Well, here's what I have to say about that. The cartels provide the drugs. As far as I'm concerned, the cartels are the ultimate murderers.
And the CIA provides the guns
The CIA provides the guns. So,
to the cartels.
yes. So, both the government and the cartels killed my kid
Yeah.
through their puppet, who now sits in Camp Verde jail for $40. $5, actually. So, as far as I'm concerned, if someone comes on my property, I'm an American citizen. I am not a felon. I have the right in the state of Arizona to protect my family and protect my home. Is that true?
Absolutely.
There's a law that
Yeah.
says I can do that.
Even if the law didn't exist, we are
I
born.
have a United States constitutional law, but I have God's law.
Yeah, I was going to say,
God's law overrules any man's law.
even the Constitution aside, we're born into certain inalienable rights, which is what the Constitution was formed around, which is protection of self. You have the right to defend yourself, your property, and your people.
I know that very well.
Yeah. Yeah, so that brings me to kind of the other topic I wanted to talk about, which was the Second Amendment and the what do you call it, the
Second Amendment sanctuary.
Sanctuary county.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted you to kind of describe what is the sanctuary county and what was your role in Yavapai as far as creating this to be a Second Amendment sanctuary.
Well, there are people in this world that don't like guns, right?
Those, I suspect, for the most part, are the people who have never had a violent offense against them.
Correct. Or have never been a victim of a violent crime.
Exactly.
Or have been in a position where their life has been in jeopardy or threatened. And they're helpless. Okay, so I am not a very big woman. I'm pretty tough. I'm a badass, but a gun is an equalizer.
Yeah.
For me, against you.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You could overpower me very quickly, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have a gun in my holster, in my back, you're not getting over on me.
Yeah.
Because if I draw my weapon, I will shoot you dead.
Yeah.
So what happened is there's, a lot of people are moving to our state, and I welcome everyone because I'm not from here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah.
I'm a transplant. I want everybody to come. You want to live here? You can live wherever the hell you want. I don't care. But when you come here...
When you come here legally.
Legally, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, don't come here trying to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Assimilate.
Exactly.
Right? Don't come here trying to change me. I live in Yavapai County, and in this county, lots of people have guns. Most people have more than one gun. Right? I mean, let's just be honest. And if you don't have a gun, you're just dumb, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sorry.
Well, you probably haven't caught up yet.
Right. You probably don't realize that the gun is the only thing that's going to save you because the government's not coming.
Yeah, government's not coming.
Government's not coming. And the cops, they're 20 minutes away.
Cartel is.
And the cartel's coming. And the cops can't get to you fast enough. They're doing something else.
There's a song lyric by Tom McDonald that says, order food and call the cops, see which gets there first.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but...
So when you were talking about that, what happened is there was a big hullabaloo about what's called a red flag law. When a red flag law is this craziness.
It directly violates the Second Amendment.
Correct. And it actually exists in places like California.
Yeah.
Where, I'll give you an example. My neighbor next door, he hates me. My neighbors love me, but we're just going to pretend. My neighbor next door, he absolutely hates me. He decides one day that he's just had enough of me. He's going to call the police on me, and he's going to say,
I've had enough of Josephine Dunn, and I want her house searched. She seems to have guns, and she's dangerous.
To herself and others.
To herself and others, okay.
Correct. She should not have guns because she's a danger to herself and or others, excuse me. So, and they wanted this to happen in Arizona, right? But what most people don't understand is the sheriff of any county is the highest law of the land. Did you know that?
Only because you taught it to me. I didn't know that before.
Right. So your sheriff has to agree with the law to enforce it, right? Okay.
Are you seeing what's happening in New Mexico right now, in Albuquerque?
I haven't.
So a brief conversation.
Sidebar, go ahead.
Yeah. So the governor of New Mexico has put in a public health emergency that says that you can no longer carry concealed or openly. You cannot carry your weapon concealed or openly as a public safety emergency effort.
Oh.
Yeah, so the sheriff of, I don't recall which county, but he put out a statement saying that this is unconstitutional. We're not going to enforce this. And they had a whole bunch of people go and rally and protest with their open carry, with their guns. Carrying their guns.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Good.
So that's what's going on like yesterday, the day before.
I love it.
In New Mexico right now.
I love it. And thank God for that sheriff.
Yeah.
Thank God for that sheriff. And the sheriff is an elected position, correct? It's elected. We elected our sheriff, Sheriff Rhodes. Love you, David Rhodes. He's the best.
David
in
Rhodes.
Yavapai
Okay.
County.
Okay, I don't know David Rhodes.
He's our sheriff now. The sheriff before Mr. Rhodes, who is now retired, amazing. Buchanan was the sheriff before that. There's many sheriffs in Yavapai County. They're all badass sheriffs. They're all the kindest men you'll ever meet. All just big-hearted, but tough.
Well, one I'm familiar with is Mark Lamb, who is the sheriff.
In Pinal.
Pinal County, and his
sweet man.
He had a child that was also killed by fentanyl. Is that correct?
No, his son was a fentanyl substance abuser. Okay, and his son had a girlfriend, fiance, wife. I'm not sure what their relationship was, but those two people had a child together. So Sheriff Lamb's grandchild. Those three were riding. They had used and abused drugs, fentanyl specifically, and then they got clean. His son and the son's, we'll say girlfriend, because I don't want to overstep, but the mother of his grandchild.
Mm-hmm.
They were riding around in a vehicle with the grandbaby, and they were killed in an automobile accident. But Mark Lamb has a passion to stop drugs for many reasons, but one of the reasons is it touched his family. Him as a sheriff, his son was an actual addict, and the mother of his grandchild was an actual addict of fentanyl. And people don't wake up and say, I want to be a fentanyl addict today.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a very highly addictive substance. And so he's going to do everything he can. I believe, I've spoken to Mark Lamb. I love Mark Lamb. I think he's an amazing, amazing human being. He's running for something, I think Senate.
He's running for Senate.
Yeah, and he's going to go in there and he's going to have that big hat. And he's just going to kick ass with his cowboy boots on.
I completely agree.
He's not taking any crap. Mayorkas better watch out if he's going to, because Mark Lamb is done. His hands are tied as a sheriff. He can only do so much. Yeah,
which is great. What he can do, and he's doing it.
And he's trying, but you can only beat your head against the wall so many times before
Yeah, especially being down in Pinal where you're on the front
lines, and the stuff that he sees as far as that we're talking about drugs, but there's a whole octopus of things like trafficking.
Human trafficking.
We can say human, but child. The things that he sees are movies can't even describe.
Right.
It's horrible. And people just want to turn a blind eye. They want to pretend, that doesn't really happen. Oh, it happens. Oh. It happens. Things happen that the media is not allowing you to see.
Well, it's easy to ignore until it hits you in the face and it's your kid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I never knew what fentanyl was. Now I know. I know everything about fentanyl. Ask me a question about fentanyl, I will tell you. I will tell you. But with the Second Amendment stuff, they were trying to make that law.
Yeah, the red flag.
The red flag law. That somebody could say, I'm a crazy person and I can't have a gun.
Yeah.
So it could be my neighbor. It could be my ex-husband. My ex-husband is a psycho, by the way. And I have forgiven him. I haven't forgiven him. I've forgiven his debt to me from what I have survived by being married to him. So a little backstory about me. When I was married to him, I am a survivor of domestic violence. Imagine that, me. And I carry a gun because if I see him or he comes within 10 feet of me, I will shoot him dead. And I don't care who knows it.
Because he abused you?
Because he abused me so bad. He went to prison for what he did to me and my daughter. It's not a joke. And he knows it, and the whole world knows it, and I will scream it from the rooftops. He is not to be within 100 feet of me for the rest of his life. And if he's within 10 feet of me, I will shoot him dead. And
So
he knows
with
it.
so with red flag laws, he
That-
could call.
He could call and anonymously. You don't even have to give your name. He could anonymously say, Josephine is a danger to herself and others. And the police, this is what happens with red flag laws. They don't even need a warrant. They come to your house, they kick in your door, they arrest you because you're a danger to yourself and others. Because your crazy ex-husband that beats the shit out of you says that you're a danger.
Yeah. So that's a red flag law.
Yes.
So here in Yavapai County, we do not have that.
No. What they were trying to make, what had happened is we fought, and the Board of Supervisors voted and made sure that we are a sanctuary for that. That will never happen here.
So how do they verify that that's not going to be changed in the future?
Well,
Is it the nature of the way the legislation's written?
I believe so, yes. And I
Okay.
believe that the sheriff has to enforce that. The sheriff stood and testified in front of the Board of Supervisors and said, I will not enforce that. I will not allow my officers to enforce that. And then the Board of Supervisors voted in that we will not have that. This is a Second Amendment sanctuary. If you're not a felon and you have the right to carry a gun because your rights have not been taken from you based on your criminal behavior, right? We don't want murderers carrying guns.
Right. However, at the same time, laws are not effective against those types of people anyway.
Correct. They're going to look, gun laws are not for citizens. They're they're not for criminals. They're for citizens, right?
Yeah.
They're to handicap us because a criminal knows how to get a gun.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to fill out the little Brady law paper to get a gun. They're not, right? They're gonna find it on the street for $50 or a bag of dope. I mean,
Yes, all these Second Amendment laws, all of these gun restrictions, really all they do is kind of castrate the average law-abiding citizen and prevent them from being able to defend themselves. So it either prevents you from your own God-given ability for self-defense, or it turns you into a criminal if you choose to defend yourself regardless of the law.
right. Well, and when I testified in front of the Board of Supervisors here in Yavapai County, I said, I will never be without my weapon. Ever, please. I begged, I don't know. I feel like I was begging that. I won't. I said the police have so much more to do than to protect me from my ex-husband. By the time they get to me, my ex-husband will have killed me.
Right.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
The last interaction I had with my husband, he had kidnapped me for 3 days. If I had a gun, he'd be dead. He had me for 3 days. 3 days of torture.
Like, okay, so to clarify without over dramatizing or embellishing anything like that, when you say he had kidnapped you for 3 days,
he snatched me off of the street in my neighborhood where I was after I left him.
did he restrain you?
And
like
he restrained me
tied
and
your
had
hands?
possession of me for 3 days.
And when you say torture,
Torture.
what do you mean?
Just torture. Tortured things that I don't want to describe.
Yeah, if you'd rather not,
Just
that's okay.
torture. And if I had a gun, he would be dead today.
Yeah.
I didn't have a gun on me that day. But since that day, I have a gun everywhere I go.
So, all in all, every person is their own first line of defense.
Correct. I can't wait for the police. The police have a role in protecting me, right? They get paid to do that. I have to protect me,
Yeah.
right? I have to protect me. I can't count on the police. I live in Williamson Valley. The sheriff's, it's far where I live.
Yeah.
I have to have a weapon.
You know, with everything we've talked about today, it sounds like you have been through
A lot.
a lot of really, really difficult, overwhelming things. So, will you tell me a little bit about some of the grief groups or the grief groups that you're a part of?
I was a group leader for a grief group at my church. with another young lady, and that went on for over a year. And I very recently have stepped down because I am focusing more on my own personal growth and healing and things that I need to do to fix relationships that have been harmed by the trauma and tragedies, multiple trauma and tragedies that have happened over the last couple of years.
So
I've kind of taken a step back of helping others, and I'm starting to lean more on helping myself and my family right now. But that is something that I did do for a long time, and I intend on going back to that. But I need to kind of clean up some messes that I avoided because I was helping others instead.
So you find grief groups to be beneficial for...
Absolutely.
Okay, so you recommend it for other people who have been suffering from
any
trauma.
Loss. Trauma. It could be, there are so many different levels of grief. Lots of people think grief is death. Grief could be a breakup. Grief could be a divorce. Because there's not just the loss of that mate. It's the whole idea of this lifetime you're supposed to have with someone, right? This whole idea of marriage. Oh my God, I failed at a marriage. Right? I'm a failure. So there's grief in that. There's so many different levels to grief and types of grief. That grief in general, grief therapy in general, is important to seek. To truly seek help. And talk about suffering. Many people, including myself, I'm a stuffer, right? And I deny. I smile. I'm very happy. I hold my head up high, and most people don't know internally, because I don't really want to put my pain upon you. People ask me, "How are you doing?" "Oh, I'm great." Right? Truly, I'm not.
Well, most of the time people ask, they don't really want to know.
You don't really want to know. Right. So lately I've been saying, do you really want to know?
Yeah.
Straight up. Do you really want to know? And they're like, well, yeah. And they try to be genuine. I'm like, well, I really don't want to tell you. And I walk away. Right. Because then I don't have to, and you don't have to feel, obligated to listen to my crap, because it's a laundry list of crap. So, but grief groups are great. I think any type of recovery group is great. Like, I will tell you what I do. I stopped leading that grief group because I actually attend something called Celebrate Recovery, which is a Christian recovery program for everything. So Celebrate Recovery is for alcohol abuse, drug abuse, sex addiction, porn addiction, food addiction, love addiction, codependency, perfectionism. I mean, the list is so incredibly long.
Now, I don't know, so
go ahead.
With Celebrate Recovery, do you have to have been recovered from that already?
No.
You go there because because you might be struggling with it?
That's right. So today, I'll tell you, my husband and I go together. Mitch goes because Mitch struggles with being an enabler. Mitch struggles with being codependent. And so he's going to kind of figure that out. Why do I do this? Right? Why am I not able to do this? There's another girl that goes because she doesn't eat. There's another girl that goes because she eats too much.
So it's not for people whose problems have been solved to celebrate.
No.
The way that the name sounds is you celebrate.
No, you're celebrating you because you want to get better.
Yeah.
You want to find a way to figure out how to fix you.
Well, that's an important distinction to make, because the name says differently, in my opinion.
Well, and when, programs like AA, you say, "Hi, my name is Josephine and I'm an alcoholic," right? When you introduce yourself anytime you speak. At Celebrate Recovery, you say, "Hi, my name is Josephine and I am one of the most loved daughters of the highest God in heaven." That's what you say. You don't say a negative thing about yourself. You don't label yourself as something like an alcoholic or a drug addict or an overeater or an anorexic or a sex addict.
Yeah, I think there's benefit to that.
There's benefit to saying that the Lord loves me for me.
Yeah, not naming yourself as this issue.
Right. The Lord knows I'm an alcoholic. All right. The Lord knows I'm sneaking drinks, right? I mean, the Lord knows that, my last drink was on such and such a day, or my last time I used drugs was. The Lord knows that more than you know it, or the guy down the street knows it. I don't have to say that 5 times during a meeting, right? At Celebrate Recovery, you don't say that, right? And
cool.
Everybody did. Yeah, it's really cool. It's on Tuesday nights in Chino Valley at 6:00.
Right on. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share about your story before
I don't know.
we
There's
wrap
so
up?
much to my story. I hope you can use some of it and piece it together somehow.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. It's been clear and coherent, and I appreciate you coming on to share things that have been very difficult for you.
Thanks.
It takes a lot of courage to be able to do that, so I really appreciate it.
Thanks. All I can say is that God, I'm a Christian, right? And a lot of people look at Christians and say, oh, Christians. I'll tell you this. So over the last couple of years, I've had people come up to me and they're like, oh, Josie, you've been through so much. You're so strong. Truth is, I'm not strong. God is the one that gets me through every single day. And we each have different degrees of trial and tribulation. And the more trials you have, it just means that God has the biggest things for you to do, and the devil's trying to stop you. So I have all this crap, this laundry list, because God's got this huge thing over here that I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
So.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
Well, thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.